Hello everyone, my name is Ken, and the purpose of this video is to remind myself about the interaction system that I just finished creating. So, as always, let's do a demo. Okay, so when I load into the game and I toggle on my traces for the interaction system, if I hit F, you'll see I have this trace. It's red because it didn't actually interact with anything. So if I hit this house, for example, it's still red because the house is not an interactable actor, but that door is. So if I walk over to the door and press F, the door opens. And same thing, if I hit it again, the door shuts. Other things that are interactable are these items. So if I interact with this backpack, for example, it just equipped it to my hand slot. So if I open my inventory, we can see the backpack in the hands. The reason why they're all here is because I have assigned these slots as hands and I haven't gone back and fixed that yet. Um, Same thing here. Yeah. So that's all working. Another thing that is interactable is this weapon. So if I press F on the weapon, it automatically equips the weapon. And I can still use the weapon. And if I go and try and interact with this door, the trace will go through the weapon, ignore the weapon, even though it's an interactable item. When we equip items, we turn that part of it off. So I'll hit F, and you can see that the door opened because we interacted with it. So yeah, that is the interaction system. Um, let's get into some of the code and how I set it up. I think the first thing to show is on the player character, there is a interaction trace distance that is set. This is global or the default. So anytime the player tries to interact with something, this is the distance that trace will go. The components, the interaction components on items or actors can override this and say, you need to interact with me at a closer distance, for example. But this is just the default for now. Let's go into where it all starts. So it's a very small system. I just wanted to kind of get the fundamentals set up and then I'll expand from there. There's only three files or three classes. There's an interactable interface, the interaction component, and then there's a static class called interaction system. There's actually only one function in here that is used by the player controller. So if we open the player controller, and here we have this interact function, the way this works is it's going to route the call through the server. It's going to get the player character. It's going to find the trace distance and pass this along to that interaction system. And this will actually send the trace. So we have our trace. If the bug is enabled, we'll show the trace on screen. And then if the bug is enabled, we'll let you know what we hit. And then we get the interaction component from the item we just hit. We check whether or not that item has its own distance set, which is here. And then we do a comparison. And if it's within range, we return the interaction component of the item that you just hit. So let's pretend it was like that backpack, for example. This will return the interaction component attached to the item actor. Now, in the player controller, once it has that interaction component from the backpack, it's going to run the interact command or function. And then it will also do a rescan of the vicinity in case the item picked up in case the player picked up an item. But in the interaction component, again, it's very lightweight, it's very simple. This interaction component will be attached to the item actor, and it will check whether or not someone else hasn't already interacted with it. And then if not, and everything checks out, that's what's happening here. It will run the on interact interface on the item that it interacted with. So in our case, let's say it's a backpack. which would be an item actor. The item actor is a I interactable, so it's subscribing to the interface, which means you have to include these two functions. And when this item is created into the world, there is the interaction component that gets set up as well. When we run on interact on this, in this example here, the item, make sure we're in the server, then it will ask the equipment component to pick up the item and then destroy it. And then whether or not the user can interact, there's some checks here, whether or not the slot is occupied. So if the user or the player already has an item in their hands, they actually shouldn't be able to pick this up, at least for now. What else is there? I think that's pretty much it. Like, there's not really a whole lot going on. There is a interactable channel, collision channel that I set up. It's going to be here, which is here. The default response is to ignore. And in code, there is a, so when the item sets up its physics state, we will do, where'd it go? Oh, here. We set the interactable channel to block. Otherwise, the trace will not detect it. So you have to block the channel. And then this is set up in the header of the game. These are just convenient collision channel enums. Otherwise, you have to use like channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, I think that is pretty much it. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy.